Hey guys, and welcome to the Band Rants channel, your home for NFL predictions, analysis, and of course your periodic rant. In this video, we're going to be covering some of the NFC South predictions for 2020. We're going to be doing two teams here and the remaining two in another video. In this one, we're going to be covering the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I know you're going to be looking forward to that one based on this offseason. So if you like the video, make sure to smash that subscribe button, follow the channel, like the video, leave a nice comment if you choose. Enjoy! Alright, so as we look at the New Orleans Saints schedule, obviously we've got a clean slate here, and this is going to be very interesting. They're going for a fourth straight division title, which I don't think anyone in the NFC currently holds. I think that would be the longest streak currently in the NFC as far as division titles go. So to do it, they've got a pretty tough home schedule. We're going to start off with the opener. This is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at New Orleans. This is actually a game that I'm really surprised is not in a primetime slot. I mean, it's late afternoon, I guess that counts, but I really thought this would be the Sunday night opener. It is not. So this is a game that, believe it or not, Tampa Bay actually flipped 2 years ago. It was in Week 1 at New Orleans. So you would think it's almost synonymous. And it is very possible that they could flip this game, but I think the Saints will win the opener. At the Raiders, I think the Saints will also take this one. This is a primetime, and this one I can understand why it's a primetime. Las Vegas is opening their stadium, and it's against a really talented NFC team. Home against the Packers, this is a game that really is a toss-up, much like the Tampa game, but I do think that the Saints will be able to take this one. I don't think it's going to be very one-sided, though. I think it's going to be very close. At the Lions, now this has all the means of an upset game. The Lions are a team that could play spoiler to a lot of teams in the NFL right now. But I think the Saints are actually going to start off really, really hot. And they could have a couple of fumbles against the Lions, possibly, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make them lose. At home against the Chargers are actually a really, really good road team, believe it or not, but this is the Saints we're talking about. And it's really unfair to ask whoever the quarterback for the Chargers is, whether it's Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert, it's unfair to ask them to go into the Superdome and outduel Drew Brees. So I'm going to give the Saints the win here. Now, coming off the bye week, the Saints are at home, and I mean, that just has all the formula for a Saints win. I mean, that again could be a huge upset if the Panthers flip it. And I do think the Panthers are not really to be taken lightly in the early part of the season, because even though they finished, I think it was, 5-11 last year, they started off, I think, 5-2 a couple of years back, and last year they didn't start off that great. But I mean, really, the Panthers were never a horrible team, just they've kind of been below average lately. At the Bears, this has the means of an upset game, and I know it seems very weird to have the Saints going 7-0, but rest assured, I think they're going to be fine in September and October. But I think that when we start getting into November, which this will be the first game in November technically, but then at Tampa, this is a game that I think the Saints are going to drop. Originally, I had them sweeping the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, getting the sweep, but if they're going to go on a streak like this, a 7-0 streak, this is going to be the game that they drop. At home against the 49ers is also going to be a loss. These are both games that that New Orleans could flip, but I think that they're going to have to lose at home eventually, and I think this is going to be the game that it happens. If it doesn't happen in Week 1 or Week 3, it's going to happen here. Now, this is where the things get really interesting now. Down the stretch, this is where I think New Orleans is going to have maybe not the easiest finish. At home against the Falcons, I am projecting a series split between the Falcons and Saints as well. This is a huge rivalry, and I think the Falcons, coming off the bye, will win in the Superdome. And this is sort of when teams are like, well, gee, the Saints are on a 3-game losing streak. Can they find their mojo? Can they find their rhythm? The answer is yes, they can. At Denver is going to be a win. It's going to be, I think, a case where Drew Lock he has the home field advantage. I think the defense will show up, but I think Drew Brees is going to carve them up. At Atlanta, is a game that the Saints will take. This is a revenge game, and they will take it. Usually, there's a series split. I don't remember the last time. It might have been 2 years ago, possibly, that the Saints got the sweep. But usually these guys play each other really tough. At Philadelphia, this is going to be a game that the Saints drop. It's going to be an upset loss, but it's a bit of an unfair upset loss. I think the Eagles are going to just take the Saints completely by surprise, because I think the Saints are going to be already... They've just clinched the winning record at 9 wins the week before. They're going to be caught off guard. At home against the Chiefs, and this is a game that I gave the Saints winning when I did the Chiefs schedule, and I did not change my mind. This is not going to be a one-sided game. It's going to be close, but it's, like I said, it's asking a lot for either side to outduel the other, but somebody has to get it done. And if the rumors are true, which I don't want to believe they are, because I'd love to see 2 years of Brees and Brady in the same division, and this is Drew Brees' last year, he's going to go out looking really, really good, I think. Could even be a Super Bowl run, but I'm not going to make a claim just yet, because we're still not even 1 week into the season yet. At home against the Vikings, this is a Friday game, which I don't think we've had any Friday games as of late, which is really cool. I think this is going to be close, but I think the Saints are going to hang tight, and they're going to win it. So now, at the Carolina Panthers, this is probably going to be... This is all the means of an upset game, but I think the Saints are going to be okay. I think they're going to go 12-4, and that's going to be my outlook for the Saints. Now, there's some flippable games that could really go against the Saints. One of the Panthers... This Panthers game could... this Chiefs game could also. I mean, I don't think the Saints are going to win by a whole lot, but I do think the Saints are going to win just based on the fact that this is home field advantage. Mahomes has never played here, and I think that, I mean, playing in a dome is a lot different than playing outside, and everybody knows that. So now we're going to go ahead and do Tampa's schedule. This is the moment that you've all been waiting for. So I've already covered at New Orleans. They dropped this one, and it's not often that Tom Brady loses an opener, but it's also not often, or ever for that matter, that Tom Brady hasn't played with the New England Patriots. So this is really something different. And I might be a bit cocky in saying that Drew Brees has forgotten more about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in his time in New Orleans than Tom Brady has even learned being a part of them for such a short time. So I think the first game is going to be a win for New Orleans. At home against the Panthers, this is going to be a game that Tom Brady takes advantage. The secondary for Tampa and Carolina, I got some concerns with, but I think that Tom Brady can hang on and win this one. At Denver is going to be their upset loss. Now, I know it's a bit unfair to say, because Denver I don't have as a bad team per se, but this is a game that when you look at the schedule, you wouldn't think, Denver beat Tom Brady? No. But Denver has given Tom Brady the most trouble in his entire career by a slim margin with Bill Belichick. And call me crazy, but I think that if Brock Osweiler can beat Tom Brady at home with Bill Belichick, then I'm pretty sure Drew Lock has a fighting chance at home without Bill Belichick against Tom Brady. At home against the Chargers. Now, I'm going to give Tampa the win for the very same reason that I'm giving New Orleans the win. And the reason I'm doing it is because it's really unfair to ask. Even at 43 years old, whether he's declining or not, whether you believe that or not, it doesn't matter. It's still unfair to ask Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert to go on the road, despite the Chargers being a good road team, and outduel Tom Brady. And I think that loss to Denver is going to really light a spark under Tom Brady. I think he's going to come off that loss very surprised, very humble, but he's going to light up the Chargers. And I think he'll do the same thing in Chicago 4 days later. It's a little bit much to have a road home schedule, but I think that Tom Brady can make the most of it. And not just Tom Brady. I think that the defense of the Buccaneers in this game is going to be having the easiest time, because the Bears have some quarterback issues. We don't know who it's going to be, whether it's Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky. We don't know. So I think the Tampa defense will be able to take advantage of that. don't underestimate Khalil Mack if you're Tom Brady, but if his wide receivers can create lanes, he's going to be fine. Now, at home against the Packers, this is probably the hardest game, I think, on their schedule to call, but mainly because the Packers are off the bye, but Tampa Bay also is coming off a 10-day week, so it's almost like they had a little bit more time as well to prepare for this game. It's going to be a shootout for all the wrong reasons. I think that Davante Adams is going to be able to make some open lanes, and I think that Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to make some open lanes. I think this is going to be just a matter of who makes the first mistake. And because they're off the bye, I'm going to give the advantage to the Green Bay Packers. But this is a game that Tampa Bay can easily flip. At Las Vegas, not to contradict myself, because I'm usually generous to teams off the bye. But I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to hang tight against a slowly rebuilding Las Vegas team. I think Las Vegas has been in a slow rebuild, and they're getting better. And I think that Josh Jacobs is going to have a great game, but I also think that the Tampa receivers are going to have a great game. At the Giants, this would have been a game that would have looked a lot better if it was Brady and Manning. However, it is not. It is Brady and Daniel Jones. And at the end of the day, again, unfair to ask Daniel Jones to outduel Tom Brady, and even at 43 years old, I still don't see that being a factor. At home against the Saints, again, this is a game that the Saints could flip, but I do have Tampa Bay holding on to this one on a prime time and ending the Saints' 7-0 undefeated streak. But it could also be a 6-1 if they win the opener. Who knows? Saints and Bucks really are tricky to call because divisional games, they play each other harder, and a lot of times some surprise victories come from the division. I mean, look at the Browns against the Ravens last year in Week 4. Look at the Dolphins against the Patriots in Week 17 to spoil their first-round bye chances. At Carolina is a game that I do have Tampa dropping. And the reason I have Tampa dropping this one is I think that the Panthers, I think, are going to basically rely on Christian McCaffrey a lot more in this game. I think that Carolina is going to want to try and at least flip this game to possibly stay alive early on, depending on what their record's going to be. This is also a game that I did originally have Tampa flipping. I had them sweeping the Panthers. So this is not a guaranteed Bucs loss, but I do have it leaning to Carolina in this instance. At home against the Rams, I think, is a game that not only Tampa will win, but Tampa will win by a lot and easily. People are giving the Rams, I believe, way too much credit going into this season. I think the same thing about the Miami Dolphins, that I think the Rams have lost a lot more than they've gained, and my jury is still out on Jared Goff. I'm not convinced he's that, animal that you would expect a top quarterback to be. I think he's paid like one, but I haven't seen him really perform like one yet. Maybe this year will be different, but I'm not betting on that. At home against the Chiefs, this is going to be a shootout, and I think this is going to be one of the more fun Tom Brady games that we're going to see all season long. And this is, again, I'm surprised it's not a primetime game. I don't understand, but regardless of that, that's a different debate. The Chiefs are going to take this one. And I think the reason the Chiefs are going to take this one is because I think that Patrick Mahomes going on the road against Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Bucks, I trust Mahomes to carve up the Bucks secondary because we've seen him carve up good secondaries. And we can say the same about Tom Brady and the Bucks. This is a game that they could flip. But the reason that I have the Chiefs taking it is because I think the Chiefs need to make more of a statement with this victory than Tampa does with this victory. Tampa Bay is already guaranteed to be in the playoffs, but Mahomes also wants to prove why he's a Super Bowl champion. And in his last showing against Tom Brady, he did pull out the W and end that 0-2 against Tom Brady record. I think he evens the score at 2-2 this year. Tampa goes in the bye week on a high note, 7-5, which is pretty good. And they have the late bye, and I think that's going to help them. So now they're at home against the Minnesota Vikings off the bye, and this is a game that Tampa's going to flip. But I also want to make something clear. The Vikings could also flip this game. If their offense is firing on all cylinders, if Dalvin Cook shows up and really delivers, if Justin Jefferson, who's replacing Stephon Diggs, is already developing early, if Adam Thielen shows up, if Kyle Rudolph shows up, and Kirk Cousins has himself a field day, this is not going to be as one-sided as you would think. And it could be an upset loss, but I've already given Tampa an upset loss against the Broncos. At Atlanta, I do have Atlanta taking this one. And the reason that I have Atlanta taking this one is that Matt Ryan has been really waiting for a chance to get even with Tom Brady for the whole 28-3 thing. And I think that now, he's kind of in Matt Ryan's backyard. He's in his division. He's never played a snap with Tampa Bay. And even though he'll be a little bit more used to that by this time, the Falcons are going to be fighting for a playoff spot too. I still have the Falcons possibly riding their offense to at least an even record at 8 wins and 8 losses. At the Lions is a game that I do have Tampa winning that game, and then they're going to finish on a high. They're going to go on a 2-game winning streak and finish off 10-6. Whether that will be enough for a playoff spot, that's anyone's guess. But here's a little bit about where I'm thinking with these wins. I think a 3-3 divisional record is a fair one. And again, at first I had the Saints getting the sweep and then Tampa sweeping Carolina. But I feel more comfortable giving them a 4-4 road record and a better record at home. Tom Brady plays better at home. He always has. On the road, he's fumbled a little bit. And I think the home losses that I gave him really are fair. I mean, I gave him home losses to teams that are not only playoff teams last year, but the Packers were the runners-up in the NFC last year in their own right, and the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl in their own right. So I'm really thinking this is a fair look, and these are a couple of games that the Bucs could flip. They could flip this Panthers game. They could possibly flip this Packers game even. But there's a couple of losses that I have to remain concrete on. It's going to be one Saints game, whether it's this one or this one. It's going to be one Falcons game, whether it's this one or the Falcons play spoiler. And that Denver game, that's my upset loss. I'm keeping firm on that. So, thank you guys. I will see you in the next video.